Love, Death and Robots is a Netflix original show that I absolutely hate. Me and some of the boys, we have developed a habit of sometimes watching something together, a show or a movie or anything. Sitting in a Discord call and watching the same thing. Because of Corona we can't meet, so... Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anywho, so a couple of days ago we stumbled upon, or I don't know exactly how we ended up there, but we watched Love, Death and Robots on Netflix. Not all of it, but like I believe probably more than half, or like half of the episodes there. And I hated it. So the first episode is not so bad. I already knew the first episode because this was not the first time. Some of our friends have talked about Love, Death and Robots. I gave it a try once, watched this first episode, and I found it mediocre and really stopped caring. The episode is basically about three robots walking around a post-apocalyptic world, making mediocre jokes.
Breathtaking. It's more beautiful than in the brochures.
Come on, giddy up, guys. We've got so much to see.
You seen one post-apocalyptic city? You seen them all.
I thought it was okay, but like nothing more. You know, in my incredible foolishness, I believe that the entire show would be about these three robots and their pathetic adventures. Boy, was I wrong, because in the next episode, this happened.
Hello, Tom. Hello, Tom. Hello, Tom.
So the story is basically about like a couple of guys in a spaceship and they're flying away, and something happens, and then this one guy wakes up and has sex with his girlfriend or something he hasn't seen a couple of years ago. Then the plot starts to develop that this is a reality, not real, but his imagination, and he wakes up, and then then this I hate it. I hated it. I hate it. Fuck. So yeah, he had sex with the spider thing. It was absolutely disgusting. And at this point I really didn't think I would enjoy much more of what was to come. Because, call me old-fashioned, but I enjoy things that have kind of like a happy end, and getting your mind fucked by a disgusting spider thingy I would not call a happy end. So yeah, it sucks. But luckily the entire thing is like a bunch of 10-minute adventures, so we didn't have to see anything more of the spider. That was a good thing. But the bar is really low at this point, so it wasn't that hard to impress me. Do you know how I said that I enjoy stories with a happy end? Something else I enjoy is stories that answer some questions I might have, mainly what the fuck, how the fuck, and why the fuck. You see, I believe that a good story should be able to kind of like answer these kinds of questions. And the next episode we watched did not have spiders, but it also didn't have an answer to any of these questions. It was like a bunch of people like open their fridge, and in their fridge there's like a mini civilization that develops, like, time goes faster in there, so like they basically go through the entirety of human civilization and evolution in like one day and develop interdimensional travel or some shit at the evening, and the next day they're apes again. And you know, the what, the why, and the how the fuck never got explained. It's just a fun concept for 10 minutes and congratulations. There was really no point to the whole thing you just sat through. So the next 2 episodes are probably my favorites out of the bunch we watched, and I do not plan to watch any more of this shit show. So as far as I'm concerned, these are the best episodes of Love, Death and Robots, because they felt like stories to me with a, you know, a point to them, explaining the why, the how, and the what the fuck. You know, the 3 big questions of literature, as any of you might know. And also just being more satisfying than the other stories. So the first one is about like futuristic engineered monster Pokemon battles, like they just fight giant things against each other, and you know, kind of like people are piloting the things like brain trans. I think I'm really not sure. So it was like two monsters fighting each other. That was fun, and after that, the pilot of the thing that won gets approached by a woman, and then there's some lesbian action, and then the woman kills her because, you know, rich people are evil and they didn't want her to win because probably they betted money. But then it turns out, big plot twist, the pilot actually transmitted all of her like consciousness into the thing, the monster, and then the monster kills them, which is satisfying because a bunch of rich fuckers die. So I'd say that's a good story. And then the other story is like bunch of Russians fighting demon ghoul zombie thingies in Siberia. And you know, they try to blow them up, but like then it fails, and then they have an epic last stand, and it's really disgusting and gruesome to watch. But on the next day, like the red army arrives and bombs the shit out of them. So I would also say that's a satisfying ending and kind of an interesting story with a point to it. So yeah, those were like 6 out of 10, goodish things. So the next thing would be like When the Yogurt Took Over, which is a story about scientists accidentally making yogurt intelligent, and then the yogurt takes over the world. You know, there's not a lot of things to hate about the thing, but I also don't think there's like a lot of things to like about it. It's just there. And then there's also this one episode where a bunch of archaeologists or something are like in ancient ruins, and then they're being hunted by like Dracula or like vampire thingy. And you know, it's brutal and it's action and it's kind of nice. In the end they win, but then they end up in a room with a lot more of Draculas, and they all fucking die. And you know, why did there have to be a bad ending? I get the feeling Netflix just fucking enjoys vampire hunters or good people suffering against vampires. You know, I've recently watched Castlevania on Netflix too, you know, the Netflix show. It also ended like with basically the vampires winning. Not really, but like it wasn't a happy end. This wasn't a happy end either. Why does Netflix like to make people so suffer from vampires so much? Do you remember how I said I like how, what, and why the fucks? So like, the next story kind of answers these, but kind of don't. In addition, it's like really ugly to look at and annoying to listen to. It was an absolute shit show. It was about this woman witnessing a murder, and then the murderer sees her and she's running away, and then the murderer follows her and a bunch of weird fucking shit happens, and it's like loud, and it really wasn't pleasant to watch. And then it turns out, you know, then the killer follows her to her apartment and she kills him, and she sees that the killer witnessed her from above, so it's like kind of like a killing spiral. I don't know. It sucked. It was bad. My review of the whole thing is just everything is bad. So the next thing, again, has a kind of satisfying stories. It's a bunch of space rednecks in mechas killing aliens. Yeah, it's. I don't like mechas, but you know, if you maybe you can get something out of it. It's not too bad. Kind of. You know, it has a happier end than the Dracula thing, but also like. In the end, turns out there's. It's fucking space rednecks. I don't know what to tell you. So then there's this one episode where like some old guy lives like in a junkyard, and some city inspector comes in and just wants to do his job and like you know, get him to move out of there because there's like they want to build something on that place. I'm really not sure, but anyways, you know, the old fucker tells a story about a monster living in a junkyard, and then the monster appears and eats the city inspector, who probably had a family and friends and a real job and was important to society, you know. And then the old guy gets his lighter and begins to smoke, saying something like, you know, in the end everything he ever needs will end up on the trash head anyway, because his trash monster friend will eat him. Yeah, there isn't really a lot for me to hate about it, but it's still part of Love, Death and Robots, and so it isn't. It's like the yogurt thing. It's good enough to watch, but not good enough to enjoy, but like not bad enough to hate. It's mediocrity. And the last thing might be the worst of all, not because it's necessarily a bad story, but because it's like the most disappointing one. It's about different timelines in which Hitler dies differently, because everyone wants to kill Hitler, and you know, it's fun to see him die in ways, theoretically, but like it really isn't. Like the best thing is when for some reason the Russians develop giant gelatine guns and conquer the world. I think that was the best timelines thing, the only joke that was worth anything from that whole debacle. Just watch the Rick and Morty Snake Hitler episode. It's like infinitely better, and like basically kind of the same thing. Yeah. So in the end, that was all the episodes I watched. I didn't really like any of them. I don't plan on watching the others. It was bad. I just wanted to vent a bit. Good evening.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country